there could be other guys. Let's take a look at some of the free agents that are still out there now. A lot of the big name ones signed for pretty significant money. Here are some of the guys that are available. Clowney, the Browns flirted with him last year. Dunlap, we know he can play. Melvin Ingram coming off an injury. Vinny Curry. Who do you like in that? And are there, dollar figures, pressure points where you think at this amount somebody makes sense? And who fits with what the Browns really are looking for if they pair him up with McKinley?
Well, they're looking for guys who can get pressures. So I think Jadeveon Clowney is the guy there that you would be the most interested in. He still has name value, former number one pick, all of that stuff. And I still think he can be productive. There's just been some sort of disconnect between his effort level, his production. I'm not sure. Maybe arriving in Cleveland can turn it around. You never know. Joining a different culture. I'm not here to answer that question. I think there's obviously risk reward there. I think he's been disappointed with the types of deals he was hoping to get, never did land it. He's 28 now. I don't know. The salary cap goes up next year. Maybe he's looking to get a 1-year deal, but not much production in 2020. He dealt with injury issues, but you're dealing with Takk McKinley there. You're hoping that you could find something buried inside a career year for that type of player. So obviously he's put together good seasons, 3 Pro Bowls, but he's not the player he's perceived to be by the general public. Those inside the NFL ultimately understand that, and that's why he's dealing with the market he's dealing with not only last year but now this year. Carlos Dunlap hated Cincinnati, hated everything about it by the time he was done there, goes to Seattle and has a really nice tenure in Seattle, has a nice run. Getting some big plays for that defense. He's a guy who is as far as physical tools, a freak of nature, man. A big guy, really big guy. But he is 32, so he does have that nature. But 6 sacks, and I believe most of those were in Seattle. Multiple Pro Bowls earlier. A guy that when Cleveland faced them in Cincinnati, I was always afraid of Carlos Dunlap just because of the traits that he has. But like I said, he was so burnt out with Cincinnati and the culture in that place that by the time he arrived in Seattle, he really bolstered Seattle's pass rush, which was anemic when he arrived. So an interesting player there. In Melvin Ingram, a guy who has been heralded throughout his career, has had really great numbers, was a great 1-2 punch. He was the ultimate one, but then they brought in Joey Bosa and became the secondary punch. He's 9 years deep now. A guy who wins on effort, man. And he dealt with a knee injury last year, but has always been a guy who's produced. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler as recently as 2019, 49 career sacks. Like I said, formed a really formidable duo with Joey Bosa in Joey Bosa's first few years and with the Chargers. Not much in terms of sack numbers last year, but the pressure numbers were there. And as you know, not always indicative of sacks is not always indicative of quality play because so many variables go into sacks. So if a guy's still getting pressure like that, I think it can be a good player for them. A nice maybe 1 or 2 year veteran type of deal. And then Vinny Curry's another veteran player who is still producing even at his age. Another guy, 32 years of age, had 3 sacks in 11 games. Was able to pressure well and nearly reach that 70 Pro Football Focus grade mark and kind of the similar mold. It's just kind of pick your flavor with some of these veterans. There's going to be guys who are in that 30 to 32 range who can still produce for you on a 1 to 2 year deal here when you got the cap in a settled situation where they might take some cheaper money just to be able to continue to play in the league. So a lot of good options are still on the board at that position. And I don't think Takk McKinley's signing necessarily deters you from going out and getting a player like that if you would like to.